Good morning, Kitchissippi. It is Saturday, November the 4th. This is a video version of the Kitchissippi Ward newsletter. I'll be publishing the weekly newsletter by email tomorrow. There are a lot more details and links to the information that we'll cover in this. Subscribe today at kitchissippiward.ca. It is an uncharacteristically packed newsletter. We'll jump right in. I'll probably cover just the highlights for the sake of brevity. The first item in the newsletter is our parks plan. That has been online in draft form for several weeks now. The ward does receive a significant amount of cash in lieu of parkland funding from the developments that move forward. We've got a plan that should take us through the next 6 years or so online. Looking for your feedback in the next week or so in order to finalize that. We'll be tweaking it a bit based on the feedback we've received. Take a look at kitchissippiward.ca for that. Also in the newsletter this week, there is a survey online now from the City of Ottawa asking residents about their experience of music, what they think would help the live music industry, the music ecosystem overall. This is part of the music strategy that is being developed by the Ottawa Music Industry Coalition for the city, something I've been pleased to champion since the beginning of this term of council. I hope you'll all jump on, whether you're a fan or an artist or other, and fill out that survey. The Committee of Adjustment, of course, is very busy as always. There is a hearing coming up on November the 15th. The details are online at 467 Golden. The owner is seeking to demolish the existing structure and garage. They're going to subdivide and build two-story detached dwellings. They're seeking variances associated with reduced lot width, area, and an increase in height from that allowed 8 meters to 8.4 meters. At 505 Churchill Avenue North, the owner is seeking to divide the property, build two three-story, three-unit dwellings. We've seen a number of instances, and I know I've talked a lot about the conversion of those triplexes to fourplexes down the road. What happens is that developers don't want to trigger a more complex process called site plan application by adding a fourth unit in, don't want to trigger a zoning until they've actually built the units, have a revenue stream coming in from the triplexes, and then they can proceed with the fourth unit. It does erode trust in the city processes when developers come to the Committee of Adjustment and say, I'm building a triplex, the basement is just a storage room. Residents generally know that that storage room will shortly be turned into a dwelling unit. I did have a long conversation with the architect on this one, Rosalind Hill, with whom we've worked a number of times in the ward. She is actually committed to ensuring that the basement units don't turn into dwelling units. The developer is willing to ask the Committee of Adjustment to put a condition on any approvals that it is just for the three units, and the developer has said that he probably won't consider a fourth unit in there for several years until Churchill evolves. I am satisfied with the commitments that I've received here. Take a look in the newsletter for more details. Really interesting, on October the 18th, we have some decisions now. I delve into those in the newsletter in a bit greater detail than I normally do. At 425 Ravenhill, the developer did get approval for those triplexes, and the Committee of Adjustment did put a condition on those variances that they be triplexes and not fourplexes. At 73 Sherbrooke, where an already enclosed porch that needed variances in order to be legal was approved, the committee did note the difficult position it was in of being asked to approve something that was already in place. They are technically correct. They did approve the variances. They don't have a process as a lens through which they look to determine whether or not to approve things, but at least they did make note of it in their decision. And at 66 Bayswater, I'll let people read the full thing in the newsletter. A very complex series of variances, a whole alphabet soup of setbacks was being requested. The committee did approve a number of those. A new variance was added on. Some variances were taken off. But interestingly, two members of the committee, Blatherwick and Wilder, wound up dissenting with the majority view, saying that the variances were not minor and would adversely affect the abutting properties and streetscape. The variances will go forward. Those were dissenting voices against the majority, but interesting to see that language in there. And the request by Morgard to extend a 21-year plus long-term lease to the existing Food Basics at 667 Kirkwood was approved. Also in the newsletter, my pop-up office hours, I have 3 of them planned. Friday, November the 10th, I'll be at Maker House, Hi Gareth, for that from 1 until 4 p.m. Details in the newsletter. On Saturday, November the 18th, I will be having pop-up hours at the Dover Court Recreation Centre from 11 until 2, and on Tuesday, December the 6th, I'll be at the Bridgehead that's at Golden from 6 until 9 p.m. I am making an effort to ensure that I have those evening and weekend pop-ups. They're not always as heavily attended, but it is important for me to be consistent with those. For at least a while longer, the budget consultation will be online. There's a survey online stemming from the budget consultation that the downtown councillors had a couple of weeks ago. We are seeking your feedback on the budget, link in the newsletter. If you haven't, I hope you'll fill that out today. Ward Forum is coming up. Our next one is going to be Monday, November the 27th from 6 until 9 p.m. at Happy Goat Coffee. That's at 35 Laurel. Really excited. Stephen Willis, our new-ish head planner, will be our special guest for that one. An opportunity to pose some questions and hear from him about the direction in which he is seeking to take the city. We'll also have various updates from different community groups. Our quarterly forums are always a very informative couple of hours. Crime Prevention Ottawa is still recruiting board members. I sit on the board of Crime Prevention Ottawa. It has funding from the city to take on various different crime prevention or crime reduction initiatives. We are accepting applications for board positions until Friday, November the 17th. There's a link and instructions on how to apply in the newsletter. Hey, tomorrow, Carla at Global Pet Foods will be celebrating their 7th year anniversary. I can't believe it's been that long. Here in Hintonburg, there's going to be a ton of activities to take part in, a chance to support a number of the organizations that are helping animals that Global Pet supports. I am going to be in a Santa costume to take pictures with your pets. We'll see how that works out. I do hope tomorrow, if you see this in time, Sunday from 10 o'clock or so in the morning through the day, do drop by Global Pet. The Unitarian Fall Fair is coming up. That's at 30 Cleary Avenue on November the 18th. There are Community Association annual general meetings coming up. McKellar Park hosts it on November the 19th, Westboro on November the 21st. The Canadian Organic Growers have a session at the Hintonburg Community Centre on November the 12th. Panelists will include Hidden Harvest Ottawa, Backyard Edibles, and Capital Green Urban Farm. Details in the newsletter about how you can find out more. The Hintonburg Artisan Market, which is often set up next to the Marché Hintonburg on Wellington West, is hosting a Christmas version that will be at the Tom Brown Arena on November the 12th. And the Hintonburg Community Association has its always very well attended Artisan Craft Fair on November the 25th from 10 until 4 at the Hintonburg Community Centre. All Saints Westboro Village Fair is on November the 18th. There's a production of Shrek that is being put on by Orpheus Theatre. They've asked me to do a little cameo. I'm doing that on November the 23rd, but the show itself runs from November the 17th until 26th. Link in the newsletter, or go to Orpheus's website to get tickets. That's always a family-friendly, fun show. At City Hall, we are very busy. A couple of high-level items on the agenda right now. First, last night, Friday night, we did learn that the city has rejected the province's offer to help the pop-up overdose prevention site run by Overdose Prevention Ottawa at Raphael Brunet Park. A number of us are upset that the city would turn down the province's offer to help those folks, those volunteers, with things like generators, a medical tent, and heaters as the temperature plunges. I'm sure that is going to engender quite a bit more discussion over the next several days. Also in the newsletter, the Hard Rock Cafe, which is partnered with the Rideau Carleton Raceway, is going to the Committee of Adjustment seeking an expansion in the number of gaming tables they have. They are allowed to do that. There is nothing City Council can do to stop them, but my fervent hope is that the Committee of Adjustment is going to find that the expansion of gaming tables is properly the purview of City Council as a highly political, highly contentious issue. No increase in gambling is a minor variance to the zoning. That should come back to the city to deal with. Also in the newsletter, a really busy legislative agenda next week. City Council is going to be on Wednesday. We're going to receive the draft budget. I have some indication that environmental initiatives will see a boost in funding, as well as the arts. I am concerned that we are probably not going to see a huge commitment to things like the road resurfacings that we so desperately need here on many of our older streets in Kitchissippi Ward, as well as winter sidewalk clearing. It is unclear at this point what the city intends to do in terms of increasing the resources available to those areas. Just as soon as we are done City Council, Transit Commission will meet. That's always a quick meeting as we receive the budget, but we'll also receive the implementation details of the new Equifare, which is the discounted single fare to help increase the benefit that has already been had for vulnerable communities by introducing the discounted monthly pass. Looking forward to hearing more about that. The council will also debate a motion that's being brought by Councillor Fleury with respect to whether or not older rules for Vanier that restrict the number of shelters in there are still in effect today, and whether council supports those. That will be a bit of procedural wrangling, and I suspect that ultimately the final decision will still be made by Planning Committee and City Council as to whether or not to approve the Salvation Army Vanier facility. There is also a meeting of the Finance and Economic Development Committee. A very interesting item in there, which I just have not had time to take a look at closely, a smart city strategy. FEDCO is probably going to receive the report and agree to set up a smart city working group. That's work that I kicked off at the IT subcommittee well over a year ago. It is an interesting report on smart city. I do want to provide a full critique of that. A couple of really positive things in there. Certainly I like to see what they are talking about with broadband internet access as a utility here in the city. We do have too many people who don't have adequate internet in order to participate in the cultural and civic life of our city. But there is some underwhelming language in the report as well about the need for open data and how we're going to create that. I do promise in a couple of weeks I will have a full critique of that policy, and certainly I'll be doing my best to sway that working group to ensure that we're covering all the ground I think we need to for a smart city. Also, the Finance and Economic Development Committee will probably give a mandate to the mayor and city manager to be at the table of the negotiations between LeBreton Flats and the Senator's partners who are proposing to redevelop that. I generally am in agreement with the thrust of that report. A lot of the details have been well covered by the media, so looking forward to that. One area that I am a little bit more concerned about is it doesn't talk too much about the role for the local councillor. Catherine McKenney's ward, Somerset ward, and ours will be fundamentally affected by a future development of LeBreton Flats. I'm looking for some commitment that the local ward councillor in Somerset ward will be certainly in the loop if they're not at the table. Our week is absolutely nuts as well in the non-legislative agenda. Team Kitchissippi is going to be meeting on things such as I Bike, I Buy, the 404 Eden site, LRT expropriations, more traffic calming, music, the Elmdale School, some upcoming construction, Crime Prevention Ottawa awards, a new social enterprise who are coming in to chat with me, and there is more on my plate next week as well. I think that is about it. Kitchissippi, I hope you have a great week. Please go get your flu shot. There are clinics all over town. If you Google up City of Ottawa flu clinics, you'll find a whole list of those. And I thank you very much for watching. Have a great weekend.